Welcome back to the channel, guys. I've recently joined the Universal Gaming Association Draft League, UGA for short. I'll probably end up uploading all my matches for this, as it's a slightly higher skill-based league than what I've played in the past. And I'm very excited to play in it alongside two of my good friends here on Discord. But I figured I'd give you all a quick little breakdown of the team I've drafted as the Sacramento Scorbunny. It's a very offensive team, as you can tell. Lots of speed with Dragapult at 145, as Elf at 115. Liepard as the second fastest fake out drafted in this league, so I don't have to worry about being out faked out except for 1 week, which is very nice overall. I don't want to give away a whole lot of what my plans for this team are, obviously, as this will be on YouTube, but I'll talk a bit about what the obvious things are on the table as options for me. My first overall pick was Dragapult. Originally, I wanted to go into this with some variant of a Sandrew team, but I absolutely could not pass up Dragapult when it fell to me at 10th overall. This thing is a complete monster in VGC, as we've seen all across Sword and Shield. Great speed tier at 142, gets lots of offensive moves, both on the physical and special side. It can go either way on that, with things like Fly for max airstreams, and go Surf for max water moves. Great Dragon moves with Dragon Darts when it's not max. It lacks a great physical ghost move unmaxed, but obviously Dragapult is my premier Dynamax Mon. And even outside of its offensive capabilities, it's a great support Mon with things like Will-O-Wisp and Screens. The second pick was Liepard, which I thought is just a solid draft Mon overall with Prankster. It has a lot of great Prankster moves with Charm, Screech, Thunder Wave. It gets Fake Out, great speed tier for a Prankster Mon, and it's gonna really help me alongside Dragapult, because I can Screech things and then obviously obliterate them with a strong max physical move. And even outside of that, it gets Copycat to help with Trick Room matchups. Well, I can then Copycat the turn after they Trick Room and undo the Trick Room if they don't prevent it somehow. The third pick was Azelf. It's a Mon I've never used in competitive doubles, but I've absolutely loved in singles, and I wanted to give it a fair shot. VGC format. It gets some nice tools for it alongside its offensive capabilities. It gets Taunt, it gets Trick Room and Prison to help with the Trick Room matchup when I want to go with my faster mode on the team. But outside of that, it has some very devastating offensive pressure that it can get if I would run it with the Choice Fan or Choice Specs, because it gets some really great coverage stats at a base 125 attack and special attack, I believe. The fourth pick after that was Savali. It honestly was a pick because it's one of the ultimate band-aid Mons for a draft league team like this, where thanks to its ability and its memory drives, it can literally be any type I need it to be. You look at the team and I'm obviously missing a grass type, and I felt I could get away with that because of Savali being able to make it a pure grass type with a base 120 offensive physical grass move, thanks to multi-attack and its memory disc. Outside of it being a strong physical attacker and any typing I could ask for, it gets a lot of coverage moves, and it can even be ran as a special set if I wanted. And obviously Savali and Azel both can go boom with Explosion next to Dragapult. After Savali, I believe the pick was Rotom fan. It's a very unorthodox pick for sure. It's one of the weaker Rotom forms, and I have never seen this thing used in VGC at all, which is really the main reason why I took it. That's a common theme with the team, you notice. It is a very uncommon team, and I drafted it in such a way because I wanted to have a very fun season with some very unexplored Pokemon that I thought worked well with each other. And in my head, all these things work together. We'll see if that's the case, but I truly believe they do. But if they don't, then the season's going to be a bust. But at least we had some fun along the way. But like I said, Rotom fan, very unorthodox pick. Electric Flying to me is one of the best types in the game. Sure, Levitate makes its flying type kinda redundant and the ability completely useless, but I don't think that really matters because you look at some of the other electric flyings like Zapdos and Static or Pressure, which Static is okay, but there's a lot of scenarios where it's completely useless as well. And then Thundurus with its abilities, Prankster is nice, but you're not really using it for its flying type there. And its other form, sorry about that, with Voltazorb is very useful in scenarios, but it has to be targeting you, so you can play around it. So also a somewhat irrelevant ability, so I don't think Levitate really hurts Rotom at all. But maybe I'll run it for Air Balloon in 1 week and we can get some good memes on the team, because we all know I love a good meme team. But I think it has a lot of good possibilities as a Maxmon. It has the same stats as Wash and Heat, which are both very well known for maxing after a nasty plot or even without a nasty plot. It is also the only Rotom that gets a flying move, so I can max Airstream with it and make something like a Lele go faster, or a Savali, where their speed tiers are somewhat high, but not as high as some of the premier speed bonds. Out of max, it also has the most accurate move for the type-specific moves for the Rotom forms. Rotom Van is honestly one of my favorite picks on this team, as weird as that sounds, because I think I can have a lot of fun with it. After Rotom came the Escavalier pick. I absolutely love Escavalier. I used this Mon in a tournament for the RPDL, and I fell in love with this thing. It has the quad weakness to fire, which hurts it for sure. But with an Assault Vest and an Inner Aim from a Rain Dance and a Life Hard, it can surprisingly live a lot of fire moves that you wouldn't expect it to when it's max. And its speed stat at 20 makes it one of the premier Trick Room Mons to me, being able to help in the matchups, especially against the heavy Trick Room team that was drafted this league that has NDD Hatterene. It has a lot of good coverage moves for it, with Drill Run to hit electric types and steel types that it really can't hit good with the Iron Head or Megaform stabs that you typically run. I'm very excited to be able to play this because my team at first doesn't exactly scream a Trick Room mode, but I can very easily have a Trick Room mode running Azelf as the Trick Room setter, and then a Scavenger Swampert who has a base 60 speed stat, Machoke who has a base 45 speed stat, not 60, my bad. So I have these slower options for sure that don't immediately scream Trick Room, but I like my Trick Room package if I have to go Trick Room. After Escavalier, I finished up my required picks with the D-tier Rapidash. This thing, I don't know why it wasn't on the document. I honestly don't know why. Because I had to ask ATM to put it on the doc for me to draft. I've never seen it used in a draft league, except once or twice, and from what I've gained, it hasn't had much success. I know in RPDL it had a 6-0 kill death record, though, before the previous season they had. And Rapidash with a base 105 speed stat, it's a good speed mon, especially if I can get some boost with Airstreams next to it, or just general support with Liepard fakeouts. Because Rapidash's coverage moves are insane. I didn't realize how good its coverage stats were until I started looking at it for this draft when a friend of mine, Josh, recommended it as a fire type for me. Like, if you honestly haven't looked at Rapidash's coverage stats, I would say go look at them because it has some great coverage opportunities and offensive capabilities on this team. And besides Roman Fan, it honestly is what I'm most excited to see how it performs for me. After them, I needed I wanted a good water type, and originally I was looking at Quagsire in the D tier, but I had a lot of points left, because obviously I went for all my required picks after Dragapult, because I wanted to be able to draft this heavy back end, and I really liked Quagsire's typing, so I just went with better Quagsire to me, which is Swampert. It's a little bit faster for the TR mode, but I don't think it really matters, because its offensive power is so much more. It is one of my max options for sure. It gets really strong liquidations in the rain if I set it up with Rain Dance Liepard. Slap a Life Orb on it and it gets some great damage rolls and calculations from what I've looked at. Earthquakes will hurt a lot of things. Along with liquidation, it gets some okay coverage moves. It could be better, but for the role that I wanted it on this team, Swampert fits it perfectly. Now, after Swampert, I went Slurpuff. I'm not gonna lie, Slurpuff is on this team for fun and nothing but fun. As y'all know, I drafted Swirlix in the Game Room Little Cup Draft League, and it ended up as one of the top 4 kill leaders, because it's just a very strong Little Cup mod, in my opinion, for a draft. Well, not even in draft, but in a doubles format. So I wanted to honor that a bit by taking Slurpuff here. It obviously has unburdened capabilities alongside the Lele for string shots and other fast support moves. It's also a fairy type to help. At the time, I needed a fairy type to complete my Fantasy 4. And there wasn't a whole lot of fairy types that I liked at the time without having to go up in the tiers as I eventually did with Lele. But I'm excited for Slurpuff. I hope it does some fun things. After Slurpuff, we took its partner Lele for the train. I tried to get Train 2 other times before finally getting Lele. The only 2 snipes of the draft that I had was someone took Bulu when I took Savali, and someone took Pincurchin. As stupid as it sounds, I was really excited when I seen the possibility of getting Pincurchin on this team, but it sadly didn't happen. So we settled for Lele, which sounds really stupid to think that we settled for Lele over Pincurchin. But Lele is a great offensive mod, obviously. It has a great speed stat that can be helped with Dragapult. It gets Moonblast as a strong fairy stab move. It gets Psychic. Psychic Terrain helps with Fake Out and other priority moves against my team, stopping Shadow Sneaks on Dragapult. It also does a lot of good things offensively alongside a lot of the players on my team. After Lele was Machoke for our last pick, I wanted a strong fighting type. It has base 100 attack, so it can do things offensively. It gets Guts, and I wanted to do Flame Morb. It gets no cards for guaranteed hits on some of its less accurate moves. It can hold an Everlight and be more bulky than it normally is. At a base stat of 45, it's a good tripper mod for me overall. That pick, honestly, is the one that I struggled the most with overall, because I didn't know how I wanted to end up my team, but I knew I needed a somewhat decent, serviceable fighting type, and Machoke was the only one on the board that really serviced that for me, besides Girder. And to me, Girder is kind of just underwhelming in draft when I've had it, so I had to go with my boy Machoke. Overall, the team on paper looks very unorthodox, very interesting. The opinions I've gotten on it, I absolutely love, because quite a few people look at it and they just don't know how things work together. And I absolutely love that, because in my head, all 11 of these mons play very well next to each other. And I think I can honestly lead any two of these next to each other to catch opponents and win games. Because there's a lot of offensive pressure on this team. There's a whole lot more bulk on this team than people would expect at first. Because, as we all know, I love me some good calculations on defense. And I'll be hitting the calcs on this team heavy every week, as it's my only draft league this season. And I can't wait to have some fun in the lab, calking some stuff, because I plan to bring some heat this league. Overall, the team obviously has a few key weaknesses that you may see. No tailwind, but it's so fast I don't think it honestly matters. No redirection. Redirection are hit and miss for me in draft. Some weeks it feels crucial, other weeks it doesn't matter. I think I can accomplish basically the same thing with Fake Out Live Hard. It has two weaknesses to Steel, Ghost, Dark. I'm not worried at all about that, in all honesty. I think I have enough answers to each of those to make up for it. Savali being one of the type it wants really helps with that. The Ghost is so uncommon, I don't think it really matters. And honestly, it's just Dragapult that the Ghost would even concern me, because Azelf is kind of flared. It's kind of weak as it is on the defensive stats, so honestly, the super effective Ghost isn't going to matter. Dark type, I have the two weaknesses, but I also have the Life Hard Resist. Feeny takes neutral from it. Slurpuff is resistant to it. Savali can be resistant to it. I'm not worried for the Dark at all. Machoke helps cover it on the hitting backside. There's a lot of stuff on this team that I think deals with the Dark type weakness. The Steel type weakness is a bit more concerning, because Steel types are just so bulky in general, but I think I have enough in the tank, enough support, enough coverage, enough offensive pressure to be able to deal with them in an effective way to where they won't hinder my season too much. But this team, very excited for it. I can't wait to see how I perform in this league. And just to wrap it up here, I'll give you all a quick little overlook of the other teams. The American Werewolves. This team was right before me in the draft, so they had the opportunity to snipe me on a lot of picks, and they didn't. They took Galarian Moltres round 1, but they was considering Dragapult, which, if they would have took Dragapult, God, my team would have looked so different, because I would have went with that Sandream option that I was considering. So I guess it's a happy coincidence they did take Moltres over Dragapult, because it gave us the team and the fun that ensues. The Birmingham Sharps. This team screams sand, obviously. It has a lot of offensive pressure. But, my lord, does it have a fighting weakness. And on top of that, to me, it screams one-dimensional. I'm really excited to play it, though, because it has a lot of the mons that if I would have went with that Sandream option, I would have been looking at with the Dracovish and the Tyranitar. Davenport Drowsy. This team is fun to me. This team honestly looks like something I would have drafted this league. Flareon is one of my favorite EV evolutions, so I really hope they do something with that. Landorus is just a staple VGC mon. Rotom Wash is also just a great VGC mon. The Hot Lana Heals, I really love that logo. It has some fun stuff with the rain mode. Alolan Raichu. This is the team that sniped Pincursion from me, so I'm gonna have to outshow them just for that snipe alone. It was one of the mods I got excited for. Jakamalas. This team, I don't know exactly what it does on paper, but it definitely has some fun stuff on it with the Evil, the Hitmonlee. You have a lot of unburdened mons, but no terrain, which, oh, they have Feeny, never mind. Okay, I didn't see that at first. Feeny, great. VGC Mon, Arcanine, great. Intimidate Mon. Licky is fun. You can do Swagger with Feeny, since it has the train. And it also has its own tempo, so even if you don't have the train. The Luminous Lunala's, Josh's team. Good friend of mine. I really hope I play him because I think I can body this team in all honesty. It's such Trick Room reliant. Obviously he cleaned that up with the Nag pick later on, but still, just it's so Trick Room heavy I think I can body it pretty easily. He's a great player, so I guess it won't be easy, but I really hope I play him because that team looks fun to play. The Pummeling Lickys, they have some great stuff with the Trick Room mode, with the G-Max Snorlax, it's always a threat. Sinnoh can be fun. Thundurus always can be a fun, great Mon in a draft format with Max, even though it does rely heavily on being intimidating when it's defiant, but it can do things. Mamoswine is something that I was heavily considering for a while. So overall, this team looks good to me. The Rolled Gold Pretzels. This team logo is the best in the league. I don't care what anyone says. A lot of good things. Rain mode, Glacier for Trick Room is a monster. Digger's V is always a good offensive mon when you play it right. The Mudkips, Bulu, my Oversnipe, so I hope I play you. Hawlucha and Bulu is a good combo to me. It's better than Hawlucha Rillaboom to me in a lot of scenarios because of the fairy typing that you get out of Bulu. G-Max Butterfree, I've really considered for a long time and never pulled the trigger on it because I just didn't think it fit my team well enough. I really hope to see it as more than a Rage Powder bot. I really hope they do max it and use its G-Max move because it's real fun shenanigans. My team. The Space City team. This team looks interesting on paper. I like the Salamence Metagross picks next to each other. There's a lot you can do there. Bulldoze. Machino is a great fake out Mon. Dugtrio for trapping. Sylveon and Zard are good offensive Mons when played right. We have Surfers. This is ATM's team. I really like it. It has some bulk on it with Stakataka, Celesteela, Volcarona, Blastoise. I'm interested to see what he does. He took both Riolu and Lucario. That's kind of cool, in all honesty. They are very different Mons, so I don't think it matters, but this team really screams like it wanted some kind of rain to me, so I'm sure he probably lost out on one of the Drizzle Mons, but he'll be able to make up for that. Because you don't have to run G-Max Blastoise, I'm sure he probably will most of the time. And Riolu gets Rain Dance, I believe, so I guess you got your pseudo Drizzle there, but it's a fun looking team, bulky for sure. The Jersey Slowkings, Tapu Koko is just an amazing Mon overall. Incineroar, VGC stable. Melodic to help against Intimidate with its competitive. Alolan Ninetales or Orville is a pain at times, has the Slush Rust with Draco's ult. Copperaja for a Trick Room mode with Dusclops. A lot of good things on that team. The Spectriers, they got the team mascot, can't play there. Cinderace, one of my favorite Mons from Sword and Shield, a lot of offensive capabilities with it. It can do a lot for a team when ran right. G-Max Pikachu, just fun. It's just fun. We all know it's fun. Persian is a great support Mon. Togetic, great support Mon. Serena, great support Mon. That's what I noticed with the team. It's a lot of great support for Spectrier and Cinderace, your two heavy hitters with Togetic, Persian, Stoneburner. Even Glaceon with Icy Winds. This team, if played right, it's going to be really scary. Which I'm sure it will, because Bread is a great player from what I've seen. The Tinto Melmetters. I hope y'all like that logo. I made that logo for him. He's a good friend of mine. I think ATM described this team best, as in no clue what's going on. Because when I look at it, if I didn't hear his thought process, I would have zero clue what was going on as well. But it has a lot of scary tools on it, and some of the combos that he talked to me about make this team very scary. I'm obviously not going to say anything of what he told me because it's his team. Don't know if he wants it out there. But it forces you to play in a certain way with your ninja, where you're going to have super effective moves for it. Tangela, Togekiss is redirectors, Tangela, Sleep Powder. Rotom is a great offensive mon. I really love Rotom next to Regirock, I always have. If you don't stop the Regirock, it's going to go off. Mesprit for Trick Room. Dragonol is a great Trick Room mon, even though it's unappreciated. I absolutely love Dragonol ever since he put me on it in a Trick Room team that he sent me. I think it has a lot of potential in draft. And then we have the Ant-Max Warriors. My lord, is this team bulky, and am I going to hate playing it? We all know I absolutely hate Stall in singles. And if I've ever seen Stall in a VGC form, it is this. This team is so bulky, and it's going to be so annoying to play. But I'm really worried about what his offensive pressure is. You have the Ice Cream Cone, which I'm a fan of. And then you have Jellicent, and Registeel somewhat. But that is the only offense I see on this team. You have one definite offense, a decent offense, and one maybe offense. And I just don't know if I could manage to play a team like this. You have Double Fake Out, Amoonguss Redirection, Sleep, Chansey Shulkle, Shenanigans. I just don't see offense, but it also terrifies me on how bulky it is. And I can see a lot of games going to timer his way because of this team. And that's all the teams that they have posted. Is that all of this? I believe it is. Just ended by looking back on my team here. Overall, I'm very excited for this league. I hope to perform in this third season. We're in the Sinnoh division. Expect content from it for sure. I don't know if there'll be live commentary, post commentary, or no commentary, but I fully plan to upload all my matches. Really looking forward to this season and hope I have some good games. Overall, let's get it. We'll play the best we can and win the games we can. Hope y'all are excited for the season, and I'll catch you all next video.